You're listening to the Contractor Briefing Show podcast on Anchor FM.
Welcome back. Alrighty. Welcome back to another edition of the Contractor Briefing Podcast. My name is Jason Batt and I will be your host for today. Okay. This podcast, okay. I still don't know. I've been saying to myself, I'm way in over my head here, but you know what? There's oaks out there that have written books about the topic at hand, about Eskom and power stations and all the corruption. There's thousands of them out there. So now, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling so overwhelmed in it? Okay, I've done stories before where I've spoken to people that live in New Zealand that moved there. Last week I did an interesting story with Mpiaki Dlamini. The week before, Crystal Smarts and with Sebastian and what's her name, Beth Simmons. Those were all cool podcasts, but this I felt like this week I want to go into a podcast where I wanted someone on the ground of Eskom. I've done a podcast on Eskom before, but it wasn't really much. It was like light stuff. I wanted something more deeper. I just feel I need something deeper, man. We've heard of experts out there, and I'm going to mention Nana. I just want to give a quick introduction before I get my special guest on the show. That explain these things of what's going on in Eskom and how the corruption's taken place. So let me read the introduction quickly. Medupi Power Station is a dry-cooled coal-fired power station being built by Eskom in the Limpopo province, South Africa. According to Eskom, the name chosen for the station, Medupi, is a Sedi, I don't know if I'm saying that right, sorry, word for rain that soaks the parched lands. Both Medupi and its contemporary counterpart, Kuusli, are notable for their size as well as controversial coast and suspected corruption that took place during their construction. Originally conceived as Project Alpha in 2007 with only 3 units to total 2,400 MW, I'm assuming megawatt, and the cost of 32 billion. The design was changed at a late stage in 2007 and doubled in size to 4,764 megawatt. Initial project cost was given as 69 billion rand, but was updated to approximately 80 billion rand later in 2007. Now, I'm not going to go in much detail there. There's a podcast available with energy expert Ted Blom on the Renegade Report, and I will leave a link in the description. The man is an absolute legend. You got to listen to the podcast because it will send shivers down your spine. Just by listening to what I was saying there about 32 billion, at a later stage it went to 69 billion and 80 billion. It's got to send alarm bells in your head. But also just type in the name Ted Blom on GoGoDuck or whatever browser you are using, and you will find many YouTube videos and articles on Ted Blom. This guy's an absolute legend. And every time in my podcast, I also bring up the podcast Renegade Report, which is my favorite podcast. Second, well, I said previously before Joe Rogan is, but without a doubt, Renegade Report is my most favorite because their previous podcasts, including the one with Ted Blom, is absolute awesome. And the reason why I mentioned the Renegade Report is because I've said this before in previous podcasts. I've been looking at my analytics, and especially on the Anchor, not on the YouTube one, on the Anchor one, I seem to be getting more listeners on my Anchor FM app. There I got a lot of listeners, and my analytics shows me that I've got listeners in Singapore, I've got listeners in Dubai, I've got listeners in Vietnam, I've got listeners in Australia, I've got listeners in New Zealand, I've got listeners in America, California, I've even got listeners in Canada, I've got 1 or 2 listeners in Ireland, UK I've got a few listeners, and even in Russia. So My listeners out there, I know you are listening to it, and I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You are the guys that are making me, that are keeping me motivated with this. I need to see my analytics, and I need to see that there's listeners out there that listen to my podcast and actually appreciate what I'm saying. Yes, that's why I brought up the Renegade Report, because with my analytics that I'm seeing, I want people out there to familiarize themselves with the Renegade Report, because their podcasts is just as good, and the work that they're doing is awesome. Jonathan and Ramon, that are the hosts on the podcast, you guys have to. Like I said, I'm gonna leave the link in. You have to listen to those podcasts. But yeah, guys, go into it. I'm gonna leave the link. Ted Blom, he's the man. He's gonna actually give you more. What I just gave you there about the 80 million rand was just the tip of the iceberg. There's more. Then, secondly, guys, there's this book that I want you guys to read. I'm gonna quickly put the picture on here. It's a book by License to Loot by Stephen Hofstadter. Okay, now I'm gonna quickly read you also what I found on the internet. License to Loot is a fast-paced, hard-hitting investigation into the looting written by journalist Stephen Hofstadter. At the center of the story is Eskom, the largest power utility in Africa, which could determine the success or failure of South Africa's economy. Hofstadter's stories begin in 2016 with Gupta's controversial purchase of Optimum Coal Mine and Eskom Chief Executive Brian Molefi's key role in the deal. From there, it takes the reader on a journey from secret meetings in London hotel rooms to an expensive purchase bottle on a Dubai Gulf estate, uncovering the corrupt acquisition of a private jet along the way. From the diary entries of a Saxon World security guard to first-hand accounts of backroom deal-making, it traces the origins of shadowy network between the Guptas and Eskom that ultimately allowed the family to extract billions of rands. License to Loot reveals the complicated deals and underpinning state capture and the subsequent ministerial and board appointments that ceded the control of the country, including Eskom, Transnet, SAA, and Denel, to Gupta-linked money men. This book is particularly relevant in the current political climate, as it focuses on the impact of the state capture, not just its origins, and takes the story beyond the Zuma presidency. That book sounds absolutely awesome, guys. I think you should give that book a read, because it explains everything what I'm talking about. But yeah, without further ado, let me quickly get my special guest. Yes, again, you saw the photo that I put on my Facebook page. Danie, it's not his real name. He's asked me, he wants to be anonymous. He doesn't want his name to be put on this podcast, nor his photo must be taken. So I respect the man's decision. He wants to be anonymous. That's fine. It's perfect with me. But you guys have to listen to what he's got to say. He worked at this Medupi power station in Limpopo. Yeah, I think let's get on in the line quickly, and then we take it from there. This is going to be one awesome podcast. Stay tuned, guys. Right, Danie, how are you, man?
I'm well, and yourself, Jason.
Well, thank you, man. Listen, I just want to take the time to thank you once again for coming here.
It's a pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Obviously, Danie is not your real name. I've let everybody know on my page that you remain to be anonymous. But you know what? The country needs to know. I mean, everybody knows how trade unions and all these various organizations, how they are bringing down this country. It's just not right. So I'm going to quickly give you the opportunity to just tell the listeners out there who you are and what was your position at the Medupi power station. What's it, near Limpopo, eh? Elizabeth?
Yeah, Elizabeth.
Okay. Go ahead, my boot. Floor's yours.
All right, thanks, Jason. My name is Danie. I used to work there on Medupi power station on the inside. where they were busy building the power station. So yeah, I really could see what was happening on the floor with Eskom and the contractors and everybody that was there. Well, in the time that I was being there and doing my job and so on. I used to work on certain areas like on the silos, the ash conveying systems and so on. And yeah, there was a lot of stuff that you can see that was not right doing by Eskom and so on.
Oh, well, that's my next question. My next question is, what can you tell us on what you saw that was irregular at the Mutupi power station? Yeah. I mean, how do we define irregular? I mean, there's probably a lot that you can tell us.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this, Jason. Let's say, for instance, if you were installing new systems and so on, because of the financial situation that Eskom don't have money and so on, their workforce used to come and they used to steal the new installed products that we installed and so on, so that they can come and repair the system that was already handed over to them, so that they can fix it. And yeah, and every time when we get back on site, our stuff got missing, or it was sabotaged and so on. So yeah, it made it very difficult to do a job there, and so on, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know theft is huge in this country, but I mean, it's like the copper that gets stolen in this country. I mean, there's a lot of copper that gets stolen. I mean, I even seen on Facebook where people, there's this latest joke I saw now where people are saying the cameras that's installed for catching speedsters, you know, they say that there's copper inside there. So you're trying to tell the thieves, check here guys, here's the cameras that are catching you. So there's copper inside. You need to steal that copper so that so that the stuff doesn't work anymore. Yeah. But I mean, you're there to do a job, and Medupi is a new power station. It's been since 2007, and the stuff is getting stolen.
Yeah, well, Jason, it is one of those things, you know. And you know, I had a friend that was working for Eskom Self, or not Eskom Self, the generation sector. The guys that really does the maintenance on the instruments and so on. Mm-hmm. And he told me, after they also told him his job is done and so on. So he told me the story about how they used to come where we were working and they came and pinched the stuff that they needed to get their systems running again. And I mean, you know, if a guy can tell you open-handed what he did to survive, or made a company survive, or whatever, you know, then you must know it's scary outside.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking when we spoke some time ago, and you told me about how you had to be there like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, when Eskom come and do their pressure checks on it, and how you had to leave like 2 hours after the time you leave. Explain a bit about that.
Yeah, well, Jason, you know, when there was testing and so on done, you know, to make sure the lines are 100% before we can sign it off and so on, we used to leave work late, come in the following morning early to make sure everything is 100%, because like I said, there was times that we found out that the system got how can I say, sabotaged. So we had to do extra effort to make sure that our systems and so on was 100% before we can sign them off. Because, you know, if there's any problem on the system and we call Eskom to come and check it, then they're going to decline it. So we had to make sure that everything is in a 100% working condition before they can come and sign it off. You know, and then basically there's still let's say for instance a year that we must do maintenance on it. But in that year's time, if anything went wrong there, we still got people there that was pinching our material from the system. You know, like I said, they sabotaged our system the whole time. So yeah, it made it very difficult for us.
But here's the thing, Danie. If you are to start 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, is that your shift, okay, and then you have to come in 4 o'clock. I mean, that's probably my next question. The employees that were employed by Eskom, contractors, aren't they physically and mentally, don't they have that capacity to carry out the duties that was expected from them in the position that they were employed for?
Well, what I can say is, and what I've seen is, there was, let's say, for instance, a handful of people that had the qualifications and they know what they were doing. But then you check, let's say, for instance, when they put a line or, let's say, for instance, they work with a pipeline. They say the pipeline is finished and so on. And then you get there, you start testing, you find the guys never put in gaskets, the bolts is not tight, and you loosen the bolts with your hands. So, and even if you looked when you were working, let's say, for instance, in the section that I was, and what I noticed, there was guys that were standing basically the whole day around, doing nothing. When they saw the supervisor, quickly they can grab a tool, but they just make it, or it seems like then they want to do something, but they don't really do the job, Most of the time they were standing on their phones, they were checking, talking to each other, and there was, like I said, a handful of guys that really did their job.
When I was in Checkers, Danie, I was a store manager, and we had this thing called staff cost productivity. Now, productivity in layman's terms is you need to work out according to your sales per ratio. So per staff person, how much is each staff person bringing in according to the sales? So let's say you're doing X amount of sales, then you calculate each person's bringing in 3,000 or 4,000 rand per person. This is just the thing. I mean, Eskom itself, and I've said it in previous podcasts, is about 70% overemployed. I think it's there. I could speak under correction, but this is exactly what's happening. You're employing all these people for the sake of employment because of the current employment rate that we have in this country, and then they're just standing around and doing nothing. So, what's the word I'm looking for? You're employing people just for the sake of employment because of the current government that's involved that we have. He's promised jobs, and if there is no jobs, then you're going to have like this little revolution. Okay. And then you got the NDR, the National Democratic Republic, trade unions that are working hand in hand. I mean, you also told me something about the trade unions. Speak to me about the trade unions. What they're telling the people on the ground what to do.
Let's say, for instance, if there's an issue on site and so on, and I noticed it with most of the companies that were there. Let's say, for instance, they wanted to dismiss a guy. The trade unions actually got in and tell the companies what to do, And according to my knowledge, let's say, for instance, if you don't perform on site, the company does have the right to tell you, listen, my man, we can't, or you can't work like this, and we can't keep you anymore because of this and that, you do not do your job and so on. So unfortunately, you have to go. Then the trade unions step in. The guy runs to the unions, and the union is starting to tell the management in the company, listen, this is the situation, and they can't get, let's say, for instance, rid of the guy because he can't.
Poor performance,
of poor performance, and he doesn't do his job in anything or any case. So, that was one hell of an issue, because now with the trade unions telling the management what to do, there were certain ways to get the guys out, but it wasn't a very easy situation, So they had to keep him, or they tried to dismiss him, but on the end of the day, the guy is still back. He comes back after he was suspended, let's say, for instance, for 2 weeks or so. And then when he comes back, he does the same nonsense he did. And the company does nothing to him because they know they can't touch him. That's one of the unfortunate stuff there.
You know what else I've noticed, Danie, is that all the salary agreements is all agreed by the trade union itself.
That's correct.
So it is at a minimal wage already. Now this is the thing. The guys at the ground level, they're not fully aware of what's going on, okay? So this is my theory with the NDR and the trade unions. They are basically telling the trade unions, negotiate the salaries, keep it at the low because it's going to make the guys angry. At the same time, when the salary is kept at a low, And obviously, for obvious reasons, I mean, I just said Eskom employed 70% over.
Yeah.
So you can't pay the guys the salary that you want to, because you're gonna exhaust your profits anyway, and it is exhausted anyway. Eskom is not making profits; they're already making all these loans from the Chinese and that. And then what the trade unions will do then is they will tell the workers to relax, go on a slow strike, don't give your full performance, just work slowly. And the reason why you got to work slowly is because look at the peanuts that the company's paying you. So work slowly. But then you and a couple of other guys have to fucking work your asses off. And for what?
Yeah.
And if you don't work, then they fire you, because you can't run to the fucking trade unions and say, listen, I need help here, because they want to fire me now. So you got to sweat your arse. So come in fucking 4 o'clock in the morning. When it's knock-off time, 6 o'clock, you got to stay till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, because the other guys are not doing it. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, Jason, what can I say? The thing is also, Jason, what I noticed is also when I was there, let's say, for instance, there was now, the old staff, contractor worker, and they employ a new guy that comes in, and the old staff sees this new contract, or the new employer, is that that man is bending hard, you can see he's working. Then they come to him, the old staff now.
Yes.
And then they will tell him, listen, my man, we don't work on Medupi like this. Please slow down, or we're going to work you out.
Yes.
That is what they did, So on the end of the day, all of the guys there, or not all of them, some of them, they started to lag their job.
Yes.
And the thing is that didn't make sense to me as well, They thought how longer they can pull the job, how longer they're gonna get, they're gonna have a job. But they don't think on the end of the day it's gonna cost the company much more money. And on the end of the day, like let's say for instance in the situation that we were now, Eskom can't afford the company anymore. They don't have money for any materials and so on. And then on the end of the day, it costs the company must make a decision to pull out. And I've seen there's a lot of companies that was on Medupi also, because of financial problems with Eskom didn't pay them and so on, they pulled out, And unfortunately, the guys that is working on the floor, they just tell them, all right, sorry guys, it's end of contract, we will pay you when we've got money and so on. So yeah, I'm sitting in a situation also now that I'm waiting for money.
Yeah.
I used to work for companies before there, and that people still owns me over 80 grand. The last company that I was, they also still own me money.
These are all contracting contractors that we talk, contracting companies. We're talking about that.
So they still own me money, and if you ask them when are they going to pay it, well, the first company I can promise you, I'm never going to see that money. They put themselves under business rescue, and unfortunately, you as a person, you can't even go to the CCMA or whatever, because they are protected under that business rescue clause. And what I heard is, and also I think it's true on the matter, now if they put a company under business rescue, before the company pays the employees that actually made the money for them, they rather pay their debt on other companies, like the materials they had their own money on and so on, before they start paying the employees that work for them on the floor. So yeah, on the end of the day, if the company gives you 10 rand, it's going to be a lot of money. You're going to get 10 rand. That's going to be a lot of money out of that.
Is there no attorney? Is there no attorney you can go see?
There is no clause that you can. There's no one that want to help you or can help you.
Yeah, because it's because it's a government-owned business.
It's a system they put in there, Yeah, so.
Yeah, so it's almost as if there's attorneys out there that when it's Eskom, then it's like, sorry dude, I wash my hands off it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, I'm speaking under correction here, but that's the way I see it.
Let's say for instance the company that I worked for before, when I started the first time on Medupi, the owner, he withdraw all the money out of the company's bank account, and he put the company underneath business rescue. And he took that money, withdraw out of the previous company, and he opened a new company.
Fuck.
So, yeah, the guys that worked for them, I think it was more about, 30, 40 guys. Until today, and I'm talking about that's now almost 7 years later, that we are sitting with the same issue, no money, still waiting. If you get in contact with them, no, don't worry, you're going to get your money. Now, I heard a story, we're never going to see that money, and yeah, it seems like it.
I just don't see the point in opening a business in South Africa anymore. I mean, it's just not advisable anymore. You have to go through all those procedures. Okay, tax, we understand tax, BEE certificates and all that. And then to have this mindset, wage, like I mentioned earlier, wage gets agreed upon a certain amount. The guys go on a slow strike, and that kills your business. It doesn't matter who you are, it kills any business like that, because like I mentioned about productivity, if the productivity is not there in place, how much per staff member is bringing in is just a waste of time. So you open a business and you're bound to close it. You're bound to close the doors. I've tried previously. Okay, this is a long time ago, but there was too much competition, and okay, but that's a long story. It was a magazine that I tried. But coming back to what you said earlier on, that mindset, and I've had a previous podcast with Wesley Bryan, and we spoke about philosophy. Now, in philosophy, we spoke about economics.
Yeah.
Now, everybody thinks economics is about budgets and mathematics, and yes, to extent it is got to do with budgets and mathematics and that, but it's the philosophy of economics, explaining what happens to a business when a business opens, that you need to put certain provisions away one side so that the business or the company can grow, and when the company grows, then of course I'm going to give you an increase, a yearly increase in it. But if the company doesn't grow, then the staff need to be made aware that I can't give you an increase because we're not putting in enough effort to let the business grow. And this is why I say economics is very important, and a lot of South Africans today are just not grasping that idea what economics actually means. It's just come to work, go for an interview, and you go in. I don't care how you pay me, I don't care about the business, I'm just here to collect. I'm just basically here to collect my money.
Yeah, well, Jason, let me say so, let's say for instance, there was a case that I saw, especially with the company that we were and so on. Or they had an outsourced company that bring in the employers and so on. But the employers went there for interview and so on. They got the job, and half of them never had tools. They didn't even have, let's say, for instance, from a size 10 to a size 20 spanner in the toolbox.
I just don't get it.
I'm telling you,
I don't get it.
There was guys that didn't even have one tool on site. If they wanted to do a job, they came to people and asked them around to use their tools. I'm telling you. And that went on for a long time. And we were fighting. Some of our guys were fighting about it. Because that is my bread and butter.
Yeah, of course. Because the job needs to be done. I mean,
and the thing is also, the company didn't supply us money for tools. So we had to use our own tools. And if the tools get stolen, I must go and buy my own tools out of my own pocket. And there was just a mental set on some of the guys. Why must I buy tools? But like I told some of them, if you don't have tools, tomorrow this job is finished. You have to go and start a new job. And how are you going to start a new job if you don't have tools?
Exactly my point about philosophy and economics and that. This is why economics is so important. You need to explain to the guys, you're employed for the job. You need to have the tools. I mean, come on, have the tools so that the job can be done, so that the power plant can produce the power that it needs. But this is the thing, Danie. How is that power station actually surviving? I don't get it. How is it surviving with all the flaws that I'm hearing? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well done, Jason. It is a difficult story, to understand how that system is working. But yeah, there's a lot of issues on that plant and so on.
How many units are running now? Is it 3?
No, 5.
Is it 5? But it's initially 6, eh?
Yeah.
So the 5th one is still in progress. That's not been finished yet, eh?
Yes.
Well, that's what I read.
But I also heard there's another unit apparently they're going to switch off because there's structural damage, or the steelworks that the unit is standing on is not correct. So it sounds like they're going to break that unit down also. But like I said, it's only a story I heard, so I can't tell you really if that's
okay.
After I left. So I can't really tell you that that's going to be like that.
How much does one unit give? How much megawatts does one unit give?
I think it's, if I'm correct, 700 and something megawatts per unit.
Because initially they said it was going to give, well, the plan was to give 2,700
Yeah.
megawatts.
Yeah.
And now it's, well, the layout now, the plan is to give over 4,000 megawatts.
Yeah,
So when one breaks down at 700 megawatts loss,
yeah,
well, when one shut down and they need to repair it,
yeah,
so it's a lot to take in. I mean,
yeah.
well, this country has suffered with load shedding previously a lot, but the theories of have it that the load shedding stories were all a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that.
There was a lot of diesel contracts that was involved there to run those generators.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. But what more? What? Tell me the stupid little things that you saw on the ground.
Well, let's say, for instance, if you look now at Eskom, the generations team that supposed to do the maintenance on the systems has already been handed over, you know, Jason. Because of the lack of the finances and so on, and the material they didn't have, sometimes they had to make a plan, you know. Let's say, for instance, put duct tape around the pipe just to close a leak.
Ach, no, you can't be serious. Yeah, okay, carry on.
It works for a day or two.
Yeah.
But with the systems and the pressure and everything that runs through the pipes and so on, it's chowing away the flanges on the pipes.
Of course, yeah.
know,
But this is the thing, again,
Let's say,
that
for
philosophy
instance,
thinking.
There was one stage that I saw, you know, a 250 Novi ball pipe up to a 300 Novi ball pipe. They used tape to close the flanges because of the gaskets that blown.
Yes.
Then they leave that pipe for 2-3 weeks, and the ashes blows out. I can show you a video where it happens, you know. And by the time they get to the pipe, they have to cut off the flange, remove the pipe, or let's say, for instance, remove the pipe where it's actually situated, cut off the flanges, install a new flange but on both sides of the pipe, because it's so badly damaged that it's eaten away by the ash, you know.
Duct tape, is that the idea of cost saving?
I don't know, Jason. But it looks like more like a MacGyver move, you know.
Yes, I can't believe. What else? What else?
Man, there's a lot of stuff what I can tell you. Like I said, what I notice also about some of the generation guys also, you know, everybody is new employees. You know, they don't have physical
Experience. They got no experience.
On how the system works and so on. You know, there was times that I had to show the Eskom guys, listen, this is how you strip this thing, you do this, you do that. You know,
We're talking about highly paid Eskom dudes.
yeah, not the generation sector, the guys that's actually doing the physical work also for Eskom.
Yeah, okay, all right.
The generation system. The maintenance guys.
You had to show them what to do.
Yes,
Ach no.
I'm telling you.
Ach no, seriously. You know, merit, I mean, I understand the concept of BE, I really do. It was brought in to bring down that wealth gap between white and black people, I understand
Yes.
that. But now what's happening now, really, I mean, yeah, this is proof. We're bringing in people for the sake of employment, like I've mentioned earlier, but the job's not getting done.
Yeah, well, just like I can say, you know, for instance, especially on the generation group and so on, there was not once that I really saw, you know, a white guy working on the systems while I was there. You know, most of them were black people and so on. You know.
Let's not go race between white and black. I know, but let's concentrate on merit here. We focus on merit here. You employing a person for his merit capacity, not because of the racial issue. Yes, I know it sounded like that now, but what I wanted to say is, I'm in the security industry. Okay, I take in lots of people monthly, and I look at the CVs. And I look for grades and to see it. I need to see that security experience that they got, that they've had security training, because that's very important. And then I asked the guy, have you got any experience in security? And he would tell me, no, not really, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I really, really do. I appreciate when he says I'm willing to learn. Provided that he's got etiquette and he's got manners, because look, let's be honest, a lot of the youth of today, they just walk in and they go, hola.
Yeah.
Ek soek werk. I want job.
Yeah, but that's also what
I get frustrated. But when the guy comes in and he's all humbled and he greets me in a nice manner, Morning, sir. Can I have I'm looking for a job, sir. Please, yeah. Look at my credentials. Look at my CV. Great. And I'm really, I'm impressed already because he's already got that manners from home. He's got it. Then I'm willing to train a guy like that. But when I take in that guy that just you can see he's not, and I sometimes I can kick myself and I say, why did I employ this guy? Look what I got to put up with now because I'm trying to train him and I'm not getting through.
Yeah.
Again, merit there wasn't, there's no merit there, there's no education there because of his upbringing at home, his indoctrination at home. How was he brought up? Did he have a mother? Did he have his father? Did he have a father? The mother went to work, maybe, and the child was left by the granny. But the granny is not just looking after that one child, the granny is looking after other people's children because this is what happens in townships, isn't it?
Yeah.
Children are growing up with their mothers being at work, the father's not around. If the father is around, they're both at work. But when they come home, they're both tired. It was a long day at work because, let's be honest, a lot of the jobs out there is hard labor. And that child grows up to be somebody who doesn't understand the meaning of life. So when he gets this job now at Eskom, typically, okay, what does he understand about economics, like I mentioned earlier? For you now to explain to him, it's like something new now. And I know they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but we're talking about the youth now. I mean, the youth, he's still fresh, his mind is still fresh. If he wants to learn,
He will learn,
he will learn. But like you just said, when a guy comes in and the staff at Eskom or the power plant, they sees that he's actually working now and he's performing, then they would come and say, listen, whoa, like you said, that put on the brakes, Chana, we don't work like that here at Medupi. Otherwise, you are going to get promotion and all that, which I think is fair because he should. He's the one that's actually willing to work in that. So give him promotion, but the rest now are influencing him, threatening him to not. And you know, I've had this in my previous podcast before, Danie. Sorry, I want to mention it to you quickly. We have seen, and I've spoken to lots of my workers, and they've seen how a guy would all of a sudden shoot up, gets a good job, gets good money. He buys his mother furniture, he buys his mother big screen TV. He comes home with a BMW, nice car, everything. But he's still living in the rural area in a shack. But inside his shack, it doesn't look like a shack. It looks like a Lani place. It's all neat and clean. The next day when he comes home from work, he finds his mother outside crying. The house is burnt down. TV, furniture, everything's burnt down.
Gone.
Through jealousy. Through jealousy, it's almost like as if the people that live in the rural areas can't see. Sorry, we were interrupted now. Okay, where was I? I was talking about where the mother, she was crying and then the guy comes home. And it's like the people that live in the rural areas, they don't want to see people grow. And I've said this before, and special reform programs need to be made up, especially in the rural areas. And these reform programs should consist of having that care, like our care. If another man gets successful in life, I want to be like him too. Okay, not in the jealousy and the envy way, like where you burn down things, but in that envy way that I want to be like him too. What do I have to do? Go to the guy and say, dude, what have you done? Why have you got this nice car and that? My brother, I went to school. And then I couldn't afford the school, but I went to the library and I studied. Because the library is there. I mean, we've got libraries. Go to the library and study and actually teach yourself. But you also, at the same time, you need that mentor. So if that guy that's available to be his mentor, then he can be his mentor. And go to him and say, listen, dude, do you want to be my mentor? Because I'm not sure what I need to learn in. What do I need to learn in? And then that guy, the mentor, if he agrees to become a mentor, would actually say, well, what do you like? What are your interests? Let's work off that. Let's work off your interests and your likes. Okay, I see you like to work with your hands in it. Would you like to become a pipe fitter? Would you like to become a boiler maker? How much do they get paid? Oh, they get paid 120 Rand an hour. I'm just saying, how much do boiler makers get paid per hour anyway?
Well, it depends on from place to place. Not all the rates or all the companies pay the same. It depends on, like I said, from place to place.
But So if you tell him 120, okay, or 80 rand, or minimum 70 rand, but you can work yourself. Give him a goal. That mentor should give him a goal. Okay, how do I do it? Okay, well, here's the books you need to learn. Cool. Learn so that you've got that theory knowledge in the background, okay? Then when you go for an apprenticeship, then you're gonna tell the boss, and be honest with him, boss. Okay, don't say boss. Okay, say sir. Don't say boss. It's gonna be a bit no. Tell the manager. Okay, I didn't go to school, but I went to the library, and this is what I know about pipe fitting and boiler making and that, and this is how you do it and what. The manager will say, you know what, this guy wants to learn. I'm gonna give him a chance. Let's make it an apprenticeship. And then before you know it, he's getting paid 120 rand an hour because he's qualified himself. And he's driving a nice BMW, and he's got a TV exactly where. That mindset, Danie, it's going to take us years to get to that mindset, so that we can have a youth that can actually say, I want to be successful.
Yeah, well, Jason, I can tell you about the situation that I know of. There was a guy that worked with us, and so on. Now, when he started, he was, how can I say, a labourer. The low workforce, and so on. And he went and he did his pipe fitting course and so on. But what I can't understand, I've got years of experience and knowledge and so on. It didn't take me just a day or two to be a pipe fitter, to know everything. Or not, I don't know everything, but, to know the stuff that I need to, or that I know today.
True.
That guy, he went for a course, he did it for 2 weeks. And he came back as a pipe fitter,
This is 2 weeks.
Jason,
2 weeks is not enough.
I don't want to lie to you, but you should have seen the work that man is doing. Let's say, for instance, if he's working for easy, let's say, for argument's sake, working on a pipeline, installing a system and so on. He doesn't even use a level, for instance. He just assembles the pipes, put it on. When he's using a drill machine, he puts the drill machine in hammer action and drills holes through steel with hammer action. That is simple stuff, man. You've got the knowledge. When you drill steel, you drill with the decent, or let's say, for instance, the right system on a drill machine. I called the guy that he was drilling on a hammer action on a drill machine, in reverse gear, trying to drill holes in steel. So you can see basically that man, he hasn't got any knowledge, but he's a qualified pipe fitter.
In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks.
And the bad thing is, guys like us that's got some experience and so on, this, how can I say, youngsters, now he thinks he's a pipe fitter. When you try to help him and whatever, then he gives you attitude, he knows everything. But
I've seen
that is how the stuff is.
I've seen that behavior before, yeah.
And I also notice it, these days of employment, it doesn't matter how many years of experience you've got. These days it just counts on your papers.
Yeah,
and that is unfair. Let's say, for instance, I've got standard 8, and I've got 20 years of experience in the pipe system or whatever, and then they rather take the guy who's got matric and got his papers yesterday with no knowledge. He get a job, but a man with the experience doesn't get it.
Yeah, look,
and it's totally unfair,
Matric, I understand it. It is. We've been speaking about merit the whole time, but there's a difference between that merit and a work experience.
Yeah.
You can have that knowledge in your matric and there is technical schools out there with the different jobs available. But just have that work experience. 2 weeks is not enough.
No, it isn't.
2 weeks is just a tip on the iceberg. But what bugs me is what you said there is when you try and help him, then he gets all angry with you and says, listen, piss off, That attitude, Danie, has got to do with that mindset of, you know what, you in this position, so you think you're better than me.
Yeah.
You're better than me, so, you know what, just this scram. That needs to change. Really, that youngster could have just said, you know what, this guy's got knowledge, he's got experience. If I let him help me, I can push the job up.
Yeah. Like I said also now, with the 2 weeks he did and so on, all his jobs that he did was comebacks. The company can't afford comebacks, You do the job, do it proper, install everything 100%. You can't afford it to go back and fix the problems. You can't.
Yeah. Sorry, my phone ringing.
No problem. You know, so yeah, on the end of the day, it's lost money on the company's sake as well, you know, and they can't reclaim it, let's say, for instance, from Eskom. So that was one of the big things, or is one of the big things on the Medupi power station, you know, because of the guys that hasn't got experience and knowledge of the systems and so on. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, and a company can't really, you know, afford a comeback.
No, it can't. So
If there's a comeback, maybe once, you know, but not every time. There was a situation, let's say earlier on, when Medupi plant was started to build, you know, there was a situation they had to do a whole section all over again, you know. It let them fall back a year, you know. Just on that one system, they had to basically rebuild again after competency people didn't do the job correctly. You know.
all right, Danie, I think let's call it a day there. But just to recap on everything, we have the NDR that's working with the ANC at the moment. We have the trade unions that's working with the NDR. The NDR are telling the trade unions what to do. So they're negotiating these salary agreements. That's kept at a low. So, and at the same time, then the trade unions are like doubling back up, and they're telling the workers, because you're getting peanuts, but it's fucked up because they are the ones that are agreeing upon that salary. And because you're getting the peanut salary, you need to go on a slow strike, a slow work on that. Our productivity is down the drain. Eskom's going dark. Eskom is going to go dark. I mean, like I've mentioned earlier, Ted Blom, listeners out there, Google or GoGoDuck, like I said, whatever browser you're using, Google Ted Blom and have a listen to what he is saying. I mean, the man is an absolute legend. He knows his stuff far more better. Yeah, what I wanted to do with this podcast, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight of what's happening on the ground level and how not just Eskom, not just Medupi Power Station, there's many other power stations out there. There's many other businesses out there that are at this level. I mean, where I'm living in front of Bell Park, Eskom, which is called Metal now, at its peak time, it employed 34,000 people. It's now employed at 4,000 or 5,000. And now we just received word that another 2,000 people are going to be retrenched now. Have you heard about that? Another 2,000 people are going to get...
And I also heard about Sasol here in Sasolburg and Sasol in Secunda also going to let people go.
Jeepers.
So that's what I heard.
So more and more people are getting let go. And yes, our unemployment rate is not the best at the moment. It's getting worse. Last I heard it was 27%. But with all this information I'm getting, the 104 branches closing down of Standard Bank and people being let off multi-choice and Mittel retrenching more people and Sasol retrenching more people, I think that unemployment rate should be at least 40%. At least 40%, if not more. My question to everyone out there, what are we doing about it? Hope is probably the only thing that we've got left, that something will happen, some type of miracle will pop up out of the woodwork so that we can get ourselves out of this royal fucking mess. It's a fucking mess. Yeah, lekker, Danie. I appreciate it. Not your real name again. For obvious reasons, you want to be anonymous. But it's fine, I respect that, 100%. Thank you very much, Danie.
It's a pleasure.
Lekker, my man. I wish you all the best of luck. I hope you get a job out there. Fuck it, jobs are so fucking scarce.
Yeah.
My podcast is available on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Spotify. This podcast is broadcasted on Anchor FM and YouTube. I will put this podcast also on YouTube. So, yeah, guys, lekker. It's been fun. It's been lekker. It's been interesting. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.